Hey, today we're going to be doing a new USACO problem. I'm going to be showing you the solution for mad scientist. So basically, for this question, it's really just going to be a simple while loop. And so you're given an integer, which is the length of the two strings. We don't really need that. Actually, yeah, well, it's fine. And we have the length of these two strings. And basically, the first one is the original one. And the second one is the one that differs from the original one. And you want to count how many times it would take for you to change the different one back to the original one. You want to fix this second one. So for example, as you can see, G and H. H, you need to fix that, it needs to be G. So that's already one. So you check the next one, it's H and H, that doesn't need to be fixed. But for the next one, you have HH and GG. Well, in this case, what you can do is you can basically take this entire block and count it as one turn. So basically, you can take consecutive terms of this string, and that also counts as one turn. So you can take these two and these two, and you can swap. Well, I mean, change these to H, and then that's basically two. And so you get two right there. So for example, if we had, let's say, HHH and this was GGG, that would also be one turn, because you can swap all of them, because they're consecutive. And basically, the way we want to approach this problem is to iterate through both lists at the same time, so we have two pointers, and what we want to do is basically check if the first one is, if this one is differing from this one, and if it is, we check if there are any consecutive terms that are also differing, and if they are, we keep going until we don't get any more, and then we make the index to that last term. For example, we start the index at 2 right here, and then we end at number 3. So basically we can use a while loop for this, and I'll show you what we can do. So once the index is here, we resume from that index, not from this index, because it's just going to be looping forever. Okay, so let me just change over to the code here, and let me just demonstrate this solution. So basically, the first thing we want to do, of course, is read in our inputs. So basically the standard input, import sys, and our standard input would be here. So we enter, so it's called breedflip.in, and then we just read this. Okay, so let's just take this here, and sorry guys. So okay, now we take this here and we read it. Now once we have our inputs, we want to make our variables. So we have n, and we also have our strings, which we can make as lists. I don't think it really matters that much, but I'll just make it lists anyways, because I don't like working with bare strings. And basically, so once we have our variables, we're going to have our count, so our total count of how many times they are going to be changed, and we also have our index variable, because we're not going to be using for loops. We're going to be using while loops as our for loops, kind of like C++ and Java. So we're going to have our while loop here, so while I does not equal to the last index, so we don't want it, we want it to end at the end of these strings. And since the last index is basically just the total length minus 1, because the indexes start from 0. So if the current value, it does not equal to the original value, so this one is the original and this one is the change value. So if they're not equal, we check if the consecutive values are also not equal. So we do a while loop here, and if it is, then we would add I, and we also add, we would just keep adding I basically to our index, and then we would just put our count here outside of our while loop, because if we just add the count inside here, there will be multiple, and that's not what we want. We want this entire thing to count for 1, so that's what we put outside. So not that if loop's done, we need to add our else statement, because if we don't have our else statement, then this will run an infinite loop. So we just increment I, and then we just print count, basically. And that's basically all we need to do. And we run our program, it will work just fine. As you can see in my problem statement, it worked fine. Got all the test cases right, and I believe this is the most efficient solution for Python. And I hope you guys enjoyed this. I will be doing another solution right now. So basically, our other solution is going to be the speeding ticket. So that will be in the next video.